Okay, video number 3. I'm in the upper yard again. This is one of my garden beds, but we got these box elders here. They grew since I've lived here, together with the black walnut. Here's another view of that, because that one was already here, but it was pretty small when I moved in. And these all grew since I moved in. Here's one right up above. And they're giving too much shade now, so I want to get some of the branches and some of the boughs taken out, and some of the trunks taken out, because they have more than one trunk usually. The other things I forgot to mention that are in the yard that are good foraging food, we have the grapevines right down here along the fence there, and they have managed to produce enough grapes for me to make some grape juice, and it's incredibly potent and incredibly delicious. It's a lot of work though, just to get a little bit of juice. There's another one along the side of the other side of the house, and there's also mullein that grows in the yard. I'm trying to think of where I saw some. There's some in a couple of places. That's also very good for a number of things, including chest colds. And this is one of my little garden beds, like I was saying. Not a whole lot wants to grow in here though, because it's not getting enough sun. Of course, it hasn't been that warm yet. I do have a little tiny bit of nasturtiums coming in here. At least one plant seems to be growing, so I'm going to have to try some other things. This almost looks like a squash plant. There were some wild squash plants that used to come up in here. They didn't actually produce anything though. So anyway, let me move on. This is where I plant a lot of the tomatoes in the summertime. I put 2 here, I put 1 or 2 over there, and 2 more here, and 2 more back there, and 4 over here, and another one there. So this is pretty productive for tomatoes. I tend to put mostly cherry tomatoes up here, except for over on the edge here where they'll get a little more sunlight. And because the cherry tomatoes are so incredibly tough. Here's another spot in the middle where I put a tomato or 2, but most of it goes down here. So my friend Karen has some huge lemon balm leaves. That's coming in really well. My friend Karen gave me some things from her yard last year, and I made the mistake of putting the sunchokes, here's the garden, in the garden, and they just thrive like crazy and spread all over the place in this soft soil. So I'm moving them, having to take them out. There's more in one of the beds where I'm growing some greens. I've had to dig out like 130 of them, literally, and I've given them a bunch away through Free Cycle. So I've planted them over here, but something's munching off the top, so I put a little fence around it. I'm pretty sure it was the groundhog. I'm also moving the comfrey that Karen gave me. That's this over here, and because that's getting huge really fast, and probably keep spreading. And I need a space for tomatoes and peppers, so they're going over here. So I've had to dig this up. It's been real challenging, only a little bit every day. All this mugwort in here and some mint and grass and whatnot. It's just really tough to get out. And here's the garden proper. Got a bunch of stuff coming up already. I've got some greens. These are beets on the right, and these are bok choy, baby bok choy that I planted to the left. There's a whole row of those. And we've got some komatsuna, some Asian greens that I just made a dinner with last night. It was really delicious. And to the right, although there's a ton of weeds, there's also some kale that I replanted from the seedlings, the little ones with on the right with the yellow leaves. And here we've got the peas. The peas are coming in great. I had only tried to grow them up above before, and they just didn't want to grow well there, so I only have managed to get a handful of peas up there, and now it looks like I'm going to have a serious pea crop. So I'm glad about that, finally, after all this time. And the daikon radish, the long white radish, that's so good for you. I had several of them out here last year, and they just reseeded and spread like crazy. So I planted some more, but they're all over. They spread themselves as well, so I didn't even have to do that. I should have planted something else instead. But they're all up in here. Here's where the sunchokes were. Here's a couple more coming up. I'm going to have to dig out. I'm going to move them to the other spot since the tops were cut off of some of the other ones. This is Oh, what's it called? Okay, this is other stuff that came with the sunchokes that used to be here. That'll probably get moved as well. This is something that's good for treating poison ivy, and I'm just totally blanking on the name. And these are little tiny flowers that came along as well from Karen's garden. Pretty. She just told me the name and I forgot already. Anyway, I've got some other kind of lettuce coming up here. And I guess that's about it. So I'm going to stop this video so it's easier to upload, and I hope you enjoyed this.